Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell with week 2 of 2025 Wealth Wave Financial Success Series. Our theme for today is seeing the bigger picture, assessing your financial situation holistically. So this session builds on our week 1's foundation of setting financial goals by taking a comprehensive approach to evaluating your current financial position. You will learn today how to assess your potential revenue streams, anticipate risks, plan for significant future expenses, and integrate a holistic view of your finances into a long-term strategy. So again, our welcome to each of you joining us if that's your first time or if you're coming back from week 1, where we learned and emphasize the importance of understanding where you are financially in order to chart a clear path forward. We highlighted examples of diverse financial goals. We introduced really the seminal components to help you get from here to there. When I say from here to there, we talked about the necessity of creating a balanced portfolio. We talked about the necessity of optimizing your risk and opportunity. We talked about the necessity of creating a financial strategic blueprint, not only for this phase of your life, but forward generations, so that you are able to truly create financial freedom and create wealth for your future generations. So again, building off of week 1, we now move to week 2. And the core of this is, number 1, an examination of our revenue streams. What do we want to be doing in this area? And so oftentimes we think of revenue streams as only our active revenue streams, but in reality, we need to identify all sources of income. And that is active revenue sources, passive revenue sources, and potential revenue sources. Why? Because it's going to help us to better evaluate income stability as well as our opportunities for future growth and diversification. So you might say, well, what is an active revenue stream? Well, that could be your salary from employment, either full-time pay or part-time salary or wages. It can include overtime pay or bonuses. It can also include freelance and or contract work in your field of expertise. Other active sources of revenue are side hustles. This would typically, we differentiate in your field of expertise through outside of your main field of expertise. So side hustles could be rideshare driving, selling handmade goods or products or services on a platform that's not your primary area, such as Etsy, eBay, Amazon, local markets, etc. Could be pet sitting, dog walking, babysitting, tutoring, teaching, coaching, etc. Right? So it's all of those things, full-time employment, side hustles. Then we look at consulting and or additional professional services. So this one could be consulting within your industry. We think of freelance or contract work in the field of expertise as something that we can chunk with greater granularity. I need you, a business, an entity needs you to create an artifact. They need you to supply a service that's really something that you can do in your sleep. But when we think of consulting or professional services, we think that that has more ambiguity. It needs to be scoped. It needs to be scaled. There is some longevity to that. So that's why we differentiate between freelance and contract and consulting and professional services. It may also be coaching, it may also be teaching, it may also be mentoring, but it's at a level where it's aligned more so with your main fields of expertise. The next is teaching and training. So coaching is one aspect, mentoring is another. Teaching and training might be in the areas of hosting workshops, webinars, and local classes. And there is some fluidity across these lines because consulting and professional services can certainly include teaching and training, but we think of that teaching and training as being perhaps in some cases tangential to the overall consulting work that we're doing. You can create educational courses on platforms like Udemy, Teachable, or Coursera. Then we have the gig economy work, what we would traditionally consider virtual assistant services, writing, editing, and graphic design projects, photography or videography services for events and businesses. And then last but not least, we have seasonal work, event staffing, holiday special surges, local festival work, landscaping, snow removal, or other seasonal services. So again, all of those fall into active revenue streams. The next bucket we look at is passive, and these fall into investments. This would be passive income really requires just a little bit of upfront effort or investment, but it continues generating revenue over time with minimal ongoing work from you, whereas an active revenue stream requires direct effort from you and your time to earn money and or wages. So again, passive usually create once, reuse often, active create often, not a lot of reusability unless you pair it with a passive revenue stream. So again, passive revenue streams, investments, dividends from stock or ETFs, interest from savings accounts, bonds, or CDs, real estate investment trusts, etc. Right? So we want to create that portfolio of investments once, and then we want to reap the benefit from the accumulation of dividends and or percentage growth or interest and or gains with regard to real estate investment trusts. Then we go to real estate. So that can include rental income from residential or commercial properties, short-term rentals like Airbnb or VRBO, real estate crowdfunding or syndications. Digital products. So we can do ebook guides or templates that are sold on platforms like Amazon Kindle or Gumroad, stock photography, music or design files, which are sold online, mobile apps or software tools if you're a developer. Then we want to look at royalties, income that we can make from books, music, arts, or inventions, and or licensing intellectual property for use by others. The next area is something we call affiliate marketing, earning commissions for promoting products or services through blogs, YouTube, social media, etc., for other people's products and services. Online monetization, revenue from a YouTube channel or Twitch stream, ads, sponsorships, membership, etc., or running an ad-supported blog or website. Peer-to-peer lending. You can invest in peer-to-peer lending platforms where you can earn interest on loans to individuals or businesses. E-commerce and dropship, selling products through platforms like Shopify or Amazon. And drop shipping is where you sell products without holding inventory. Network marketing or MLM, and that's earning commissions from selling products and building out a sales team. Note, we do not advocate in traditional Ponzi schemes. What we're asking you to do is research the legitimacy of these before pursuing this option, but know that there are valid and lucrative network marketing opportunities. Crowdfunding investments, investments in startups or small business through equity crowdfunding platforms like Fundrise or Kickstarter. And then last but not least is intellectual property, licensing fees for patents, trademarks, and copyrights. So we look at those as passive income streams. So how can we optimize as we can combine active and passive income streams? Freelance work can transition into passive income by creating digital courses or templates based on your expertise. Active real estate flipping can evolve into passive real rental property ownership. Writing a book as an active project can generate royalties for years as passive income. And then how do we choose the right income sources for us? Well, first is awareness, and that's what we're doing today, driving awareness of active and passive potential income streams for you to choose from and prioritize in 2025. But then we need to engage, we need to ascertain and strategize so that we can leverage our strengths. So we want you to choose income streams that best align with your skills and interests. We want you to assess your time and capital requirements. So active income streams require time and sometimes capital, but oftentimes passive streams will require upfront financial or effort investment. We want you to diversify. We want you to avoid relying on a single income stream of any kind so that you can further reduce financial risk. And then we want you to experiment and scale. So start small with one or two streams, assess their feasibility, and scale those that are most successful for you. So again, revenue streams, number one. Active, passive, potential. Potential is really looking at downstream. Maybe it's in phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, but those skills or opportunities that you possess or have knowledge of that you could potentially monetize in the future. So we want you to evaluate for income stability and opportunities for growth and diversification. Next category is expenses and obligations. And here we want you to basically slice and dice these into essential expenses. We want you to include future obligations, and we want you to address overlooked costs. So essential expenses are those things that are key to you: housing, utilities, insurance, anything with your business that keeps it feasible and running. And then we want you to look at your discretionary. So essential expenses are your baseline that keeps yourself and your business up and operating from its most basic level. Then discretionary would be anything on top of that. We want you to look at future obligations like tuition, medical expenses, family support, etc. And then we want you to take into consideration those things that are overlooked sometimes, and that's taxes, inflation, or unexpected emergencies. So each of those revenue streams balanced by expenses and obligations will give you what we consider our cash flows. We'll talk about cash flows in a later week, but it's really a financial construct where you plot out your revenues, active, passive, over each interval in the year, and then you offset them with your expenses and your obligations. Say you want to offset future costs with taxes, inflation, or unexpected emergencies. So you're going to have a cost category for each of those, as well as your current essential and discretionary expenses. And then you're going to look at your future obligations: tuition, medical expenses, family support, and perhaps create some funds specific to those areas to minimize risk at a latter point in time. And that leads us to our third area of focus today, and that's risk factors. So first, in order to plan with some level of specificity and have that plan be on target for our year, we need to assess financial risk. Is there job instability within the industry that you serving? Are you expecting a career transition? Is there market downturns that are potentially negatively affecting investments? Is there heightened healthcare costs or family support or emergencies that you're needing to handle? And we want you to strategize to mitigate these risks. We can do this in a couple different ways. One is building emergency funds, or like I said, those special category funds to help you offset future obligations and traditionally overlooked costs. Do you have adequate insurance coverage, and do you have adequate diversification across your income stream? So that's how we can look at that. And we'll ask you to really plot your risk assessment. Maybe it's on a scale of 1 to 10 in regard to each of these areas of your revenue, with regard to being able to quantify and have full confidence in your expenses and obligations. How do you need to assess instability or transitions, market downturns, or other costs or emergencies? And then we also want you to look at your current state of insurance coverage, emergency funding, and then again, the level to which your income streams are diversified. Then last but not least, we want you to understand or build a roadmap that allows you to understand your big financial future milestones. Are you anticipating some major life expenses in 2025, 2026, 2027 through 2030? Is that a home purchase? Is that a retirement? Are there going to be educational costs for your family members, yourself, or an extended family? Is there a dream vacation? And then if so, again, we're going to treat it like those future obligations or traditionally overlooked costs. We're going to create a special fund to help us save by breaking that down into a weekly manageable savings goal so that you can see incremental progress and build momentum against these positive outcomes that you're attempting to achieve in the mid to long term. Again, 4 different areas: revenue streams, expenses and obligations, risk factors, and big financial milestones. Next is, what do we need to do as we move forward once we have that information? And that's really understanding how we can best balance risk and opportunity. We've asked you to really take a hard look at what are those big financial milestones you're attempting to achieve. But we also want you to put something in there because you need to be able to be innovative and you need to be able to move swiftly. So I'm going to advocate that you have a special fund that allows you to capitalize on opportunities should they arise. How do we balance risk and opportunity? And that's by building resilience. We want to have an emergency fund. We want to make sure you're properly insured. We want to make sure you have diversification, but we also want to make sure that you are examining and capitalizing on all the different active and passive sources of income that are applicable to you. So if you have taken your assessment and you only find that you have 1 or 2 in each of those, we're going to advocate for you to look at alternative mechanisms to build out revenue streams for 2025 and beyond for you, because that helps you build resilience. We're going to look at other opportunities for growth. Is there high growth opportunities in investments for wealth building? Is there lower risk? So high growth options like stocks and or ETFs that may have a little bit of higher risk for your long-term goals, and lower risk investments like bonds or fixed incomes accounts for shorter term and to slightly midterm stability. Then we want you to explore innovative revenue streams. Is there a way for you to monetize a hobby, launch a digital product, create an online form, invest in rental property, or invest in peer-to-peer lending platforms or other business crowdfunding investment opportunities, right? So we want you to diversify your risk by ensuring that you have some level of revenue being generated across as many different streams as possible. And then last is adapting to change. We want and advise you to take on a quarterly review at minimum for your financial situation, because with the rate of change and the rate of innovation, and with AI, you can even harness AI to help you identify your opportunities and or risks around each of these different work streams, given your personal and professional and business context. So ask early, ask often, review quarterly, and then we want you to be able to make real-time adjustments as your life changes, as your career shifts, or your family dynamics change. We also want you to explore, as we move from week 2 into the rest of the year, some long-term financial vision questions, right? Because this will help you in your assessment. We want you to examine, what does financial independence really mean to you? Do your current habits align with your long-term financial goals? And what is the big why driving your current state of financial planning? And what have you learned today that could help you expand that view? Financial freedom, family security, philanthropy, etc. So perhaps between now and week 3, you can give yourself the gift of creating an ideal financial future that spans 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, and into the future to the next generation and the next. What milestones have you achieved? What steps did you take to get you there? And again, what is the generational wealth that you want to leave to who, why, and how, or through what mechanism? So again, week 2 is about helping you assess your revenue streams, expenses, and obligations, look at the risk factors, take into consideration your big financial milestones, and balance the risk and opportunity strategically so that you can craft the correct financial strategy and a roadmap to help achieve your long-term vision while still focusing your key actions on the next 12 months. You also need to consider that multi-generational impact or wealth building that you're aiming at. So again, review your revenue streams and expenses and your risk this week. Identify one area where you can take immediate action. Maybe you can cut some discretionary expenses, explore a side hustle, or set up an emergency fund. There are many different ways and resources for you, both at WealthWave tools and templates for holistic financial planning. You can find them at wealthwave.com/Rhonda Farrell. And there are many, what we call our money books for women, for youth, and for everyone. So Achieving financial independence isn't just about the numbers we're asking you to generate this week. It's truly about understanding the complete picture of your financial life by assessing all potential income, anticipating future needs, and mitigating risk. You can craft a resilient and sustainable strategy for financial success going forward. Again, this is Dr. Rhonda Farrell bringing you week 2 of your 2025 Wealth Wave Financial Success Series, seeing the big picture and assessing your financial situation holistically. Join us next week for week 3, where we help you go further, faster, so you can take control of your financial future.